So we're on book, what is it? Book 5. We're zooming through. A couple more books and we'll be done. Crazy. Oh, new map. This map, it has a lot more ocean in it, probably because it is about a ship. We've got, let's see, the first part of the voyage is the name of this map. It's got a name and everything. It's called the first part of the voyage. So there must be a second part at some point. Oh. Yeah, we got another map. So this is the first book with multiple sets of maps in it, because I kind of forgot this is like a journey, like a travel novel, which is very different from the other books where like technically the characters are traveling, but they're all over areas that we already know about, whereas the story is only made reference to the Eastern Ocean. Like, we know the islands are out there and that they're part of Narnia, and we know that there's some king of the eastern lands or whatever the fuck, and that's literally just straight up the Christian god, by the way. It's very interesting, though. Even in, like, Horse and His Boy, where there's a lot of traveling, it's mostly just, like, going up through a desert. There's not much place to place to place that's, like, named locations. All right. Chapter 1. The Picture in the Bedroom. There was a boy called Eustace Clarence Scrubb. My boy. He's going to suck all through this book. He's going to be the worst. But literally one of my favorite Narnia characters. Eustace Clarence Scrubb, and he almost deserved it. His parents called him Eustace Clarence, and his masters called him Scrubb. I can't tell you how his friends spoke to him, for he had none. He didn't call his father and mother, but Harold and Alberta. They were very up-to-date with advanced people. They were vegetarians, non-smokers, and teetotalers, whatever that means, and wore a special kind of undercloths. In their house, there was a very little furniture and very few clothes on beds, and the windows were always open. Eustace Clarence liked animals, especially beetles. If they were dead and pinned on a card, he liked books if they were books of information and had pictures of grain elevators or of fat foreign children doing exercises in model schools. Eustace Clarence disliked his cousins, the Pevenses. Pevenses? I don't really know. Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. So actually I lied. Peter and Susan are in this book, just very briefly. But he was quite glad that he heard that Edmund and Lucy were coming to stay, for deep down inside him, he liked bossing and bullying, and, though he was a puny little person who couldn't have stood up even to Lucy, let alone Edmund, in a fight, he knew that there were dozens of ways to give people a bad time if you are in your own home and they are only visitors. Edmund and Lucy did not at all want to come to stay with Uncle Harold and Alberta, but it couldn't really be helped. Father had got a job lecturing in America for 16 weeks that summer, and Mother was to go with him because she hadn't had a real holiday for 10 years. Peter was working very hard for an exam, and he was to spend the holidays being coached by old Professor Kirk, in whose house those 4 children had had wonderful adventures long ago in the war years. If he had still been in that house, he would have had them all to stay. But he had somehow become poor since the old days, and was living in a small cottage with only 1 bedroom to spare. It would have cost too much money to take the other 3 all to America. And Susan had gone. Grown-ups thought her the pretty one of the family, and she was no good at schoolwork, though otherwise very old for her age. And Mother said she would get far more out of a trip to America than the youngsters. Edmund and Lucy tried not to grudge Susan for her luck, but it was dreadful having to spend the summer holidays at their aunt's. "But it's far worse for me," said Edmund, "because you'll at least have a room of your own, and I shall have to share a bedroom with that record stinker, Eustace." The story begins in an afternoon when Edmund and Lucy were stealing a few precious minutes alone together. And of course, they were talking about Narnia, which was the name of their own private and secret country. Most of us